You hear it all the time, right? Bitcoin's massive energy use has kicked off this huge climate war. But what if I told you the entire debate is shifting right now? Well, let's break down the tech that's completely changing the game.
Okay, let's just start with a number, over 1,000 kilowatt hours. It's a big, kind of abstract number, but it's our starting point. And what does it represent? Well, that is the shocking amount of energy it takes for just one single Bitcoin transaction. We're not even talking about mining a new coin here, just sending some from one person to another.
To really wrap your head around that, imagine this. That's enough juice to power an average American home for more than a month. Yeah, over 35 days. This isn't just some small inefficiency, it's absolutely massive.
So this brings up two really fundamental questions that we have to ask. First, why on earth was it designed this way? And maybe more importantly, is there a better, more sustainable way to do this? That's exactly what we're going to figure out.
To answer that first question, we've got to get into the weeds a little bit and understand the security system at the very heart of Bitcoin. It's a fascinating thing called proof of work. So proof of work, it's basically the engine that keeps the entire Bitcoin network secure. You can think of it as a system where these participants, who we call miners, are all competing against each other to be the one who gets to validate transactions.
The best way to think about it is like a global, super high-speed lottery, but for computers. You've got thousands of these powerful machines all over the world, all guessing the answer to a really complex math puzzle. The first one to get it right wins. And the prize? They get to add the next block of transactions to the blockchain. And for their effort, they're rewarded with brand new Bitcoin. This whole race happens about every 10 minutes.
Now here's the part that really bends your mind. This insane energy consumption isn't a mistake. It's not a bug. It's actually the key feature. The whole point is to make it so incredibly expensive to participate that it becomes almost impossible for a bad actor to attack the network. In the world of proof of work, energy is the security. And the scale of that energy use is just staggering. I mean, look at this. At its peak, the Bitcoin network uses as much electricity as the entire country of Argentina. Now, of course, supporters will point out, hey, that's still way less than the traditional global banking system. But the critics fire back, saying, for a network that handles so few transactions in comparison, that is an extraordinary amount of power. But hold on, the story doesn't just end there. The idea of Bitcoin being this pure environmental bad guy has a really compelling counterargument. And it all comes down to simple economics. See, for a Bitcoin miner, their biggest cost, by far, is electricity. So this creates this relentless, worldwide hunt for the absolute cheapest power you can find on the planet. And you know where that search often leads? Straight to renewables. Some estimates suggest that over half the network is already powered by sustainable energy. And this happens in a couple of really clever ways. First, miners can literally just set up their computers right next to, say, a remote hydro dam that's producing more power than anyone nearby can use. It's called stranded energy. Second, they can take the natural gas that's just wastefully burned off at oil fields, that flaring, and use it to generate electricity on site, which is way cleaner than just torching it into the atmosphere. So that's the whole back and forth around proof of work. But while that argument was raging, something else was happening in the background. A completely different system was being built, a potential game changer called proof of stake. So instead of a race to burn the most energy, proof of stake is an economic game. In this system, participants, now called validators, lock up their own crypto as collateral. It's like putting down a security deposit. If you play by the rules and validate transactions honestly, you get a reward. But if you try to cheat this system, the network automatically destroys your collateral, your stake. Security here comes from having skin in the game, not from burning electricity. For years, this was all mostly just a cool theory. I mean, could a massive, valuable network really run on this new system? And then, in September 2022, the second biggest crypto out there, Ethereum, did something pretty much everyone thought was impossible. They switched their entire network from proof of work to proof of stake, live, in an event they called the Merge. So what happened? The result was, well, it was breathtaking. Before the merge, Ethereum's energy use was a lot like Bitcoin's. We're talking comparable to a whole country. And after the merge, it dropped to basically nothing, a rounding error, almost zero. How big of a drop are we talking about here? A reduction of over 99.95%. Just let that sink in for a second. And the most incredible part is that this didn't take years to happen. It happened instantly. The very moment the merge was finalized, the network's enormous carbon footprint just poof, vanished.
Now, you'd think the success of the merge would have ended the debate, right? But it didn't. What it did was completely reframe it. It proved that you can have a secure, global network without the insane energy bill, and that created a brand new showdown.
Let's just lay out the trade-offs here. Proof of work, you see, it relies on the real-world physical cost of energy for its security. Proof of stake uses a financial stake. The result is that proof of stake is wildly energy efficient, and that also unlocks the potential for much higher scalability, meaning it can handle way more transactions. The main knock against it, it's just newer and less battle-tested over a long period of time.
And this really gets to the philosophical heart of the new debate. Supporters of proof of work, the Bitcoin crowd, they argue that its security is fundamentally stronger because it's tied to the actual laws of physics and the cost of energy. Meanwhile, proof of stake supporters say that's just a brute force approach and that achieving security through smart, efficient economic incentives is simply a more elegant, more advanced technology.
And this quote right here just nails the shift. See, before Ethereum's merge, you could make the argument that massive energy use was really the only proven way to secure a major crypto network. Well, that argument just isn't true anymore. We now have a living, breathing, energy-efficient alternative that's working at a massive scale. So, we've ended up at this really fascinating crossroads. The climate war in crypto isn't a technical problem without an answer anymore. Proof of stake proved a solution exists. The debate now is really an ideological one. It's a choice between two very different ideas about what security even means. The question has changed from if we can go green to if we even should. So what do you think?